I'll give TNA one thing. They definitely put effort into getting the word out about Feast or Fired being back this week. Love it or hate it, they made it really hard for you to not know about it. And they've had a long history of not hyping up big specialty matches, so it was nice to see them go into this with their heads screwed on straight. Having said that, I've never really liked the Feast or Fired concept. It's a Money in the Bank ripoff. Everybody knows it's a Money in the Bank ripoff, and there have never been enough differences in the gimmicks for it to feel like anything but. I'm just not a fan of it. However, the last one did do us the courtesy of getting rid of Chavo Guerrero, so you figure if they give Robbie E the fired case, maybe they can make magic happen twice here. And the results were actually quite promising. First of all, the match, surprisingly good. It was a schmoz like always, but it was a fun schmoz. The booking was more thoughtful than it usually is in these types of situations, and more guys got a chance to stand out than you might think. They worked some nice spots in there, and they were spaced out enough that they felt like individual moments rather than the whole thing just being a big car wreck. I didn't expect this, but I actually thought the match was really enjoyable. So later on, they open all the briefcases backstage and we find out who got which title shot and who was fired. The production in this segment was excellent, with the camera work and the music and stuff was really well done. So our winners are Rockstar Spud, Austin Aries, Magnus, and Robbie E, with a little help from Velvet Sky. Spud gets the X title shot, which is totally cool with me. He got one of the biggest babyface reactions in the match. He's a hot character right now, and the UK tour is coming up pretty soon, so that was a no-brainer. I was a little disappointed that he didn't get the tag title shot, though. After this episode, I think there could be money in Spud and Mark Andrews as a tag team. And imagine the press they'd get in the UK if the two British boot camp winners won the tag titles on the Maximum Impact tour. Just saying.
Rockstar Spud is in the building!
The tag title shot goes to Magnus, which makes sense. I've been wanting them to use him and Bram as a tag team, and they did set up an interesting situation in the match, with Magnus grabbing the briefcase that Bram was after and Bram being pissed off about it, so that could be a fun, awkward situation to play around with. Austin Aries gets the world title shot.
Yes!
Awesome, perfect, exactly what should have happened. Nothing else needs to be said about that. And then it got weird. Robbie E was supposed to get the fired case, but he pisses himself and gives the case to Velvet Sky, since she was technically the one who took the case down, and she gets fired instead.
What the fuck?
What? What the hell is going on here? So what if she's the one who took the case down? Velvet was not officially entered in the match. Points for originality, I guess, but to say that she was actually the real owner of the fired case and that this was in any way official is just silly. Now, they did say that participation in the match was voluntary, so there's a little bit of a gray area here, but I don't know, that seems kind of sketchy to me. I wish they'd clarified that better. So that ass clown Robbie E is not fired, unfortunately. But on the other hand, Velvet Sky is gone. You know what? I'll take it. There have been rumors that Velvet was on her way out for a while now. If that's what this is, that was a weird way to send her off. Why not do it in a way that would put over another knockout, like having Havoc or Kong break her in half or something? This wasn't like Chavo going out like a total schmuck last time. When that happened, it was very fitting. But whether you liked her or hated her, Velvet does have fans, and she had been a part of the company for a long time, and this was a strangely unceremonious way for her to leave, but hell, who am I to complain? I didn't like her anyway. I think Velvet Sky had accomplished everything there was for her to do in the company. She'd been there for the better part of 10 years. As a character, as a wrestler, as a very stale gimmick in the Beautiful People, she was pretty much done. If this makes way for a new knockout, I'm happy. So, not the result that I was hoping for, but as far as I'm concerned, not bad news either. So, TNA. With Velvet Sky being fired now, I can only assume that this means a spot has now opened up in the Knockout roster, which you plan on filling by signing Kaylee Ray ASAP, right? Right? As far as the wrestling goes, nothing else really stood out that much this week, except for, not shockingly, our Lord of Wrestling versus Jeremy Just Bald Borash. Classic EC3. So we've got an announcer getting in the ring and wrestling. By all rights, I should have thought this was really stupid, but it actually ended up being a lot of fun. By the way, best match graphic ever. EC3 plays the obnoxious bully so well that he was able to get the people behind JB here. Of course, that cheating bastard Borash tries to get his Heisenberg on, acting all big and bad, taking a cheap shot at wrestling's greatest hero, and then needs help from Rockstar Spud and Mark Andrews to bail his ass out. Disgraceful. The hardcore American icon isn't done with you yet, you big, bald son of a bitch.
How dare you!
Seriously, though, this was really good. I think the one flaw in this segment was that they kind of dropped the ball on introducing Mark Andrews. We don't see him walking through the crowd to take a seat. He's not pointed out in the audience earlier in the night or anything. The segment starts, and he's just there. And TNA never showed any British boot camp recaps on Impact. There was no promo package or anything like that for Andrews, so when he hit the ring, the crowd didn't pop for him because they didn't know who he was. He looked great when he got in there. I loved him and Spud making Tyrus look like a doofus. That was awesome. But I really thought they should have done something to introduce him beforehand. Nevertheless, it was pretty cool to see him debut so soon. I will never not think that Kaylee Ray not winning British Boot Camp 2 was a mistake. But I do like Andrews a lot, and he was my second pick, so I'm happy he's there. And since the Spud Eric Young thing was done away with when EY turned heel, I think it makes perfect sense to put Andrews in that spot. You know, have them work together as a tag team. I bet that would get over huge on the UK tour.
The Rockstar Spud has left the building.
The rest of the wrestling wasn't too noteworthy. Gail Kim and Havoc had another match that wasn't bad, but it felt like it was lacking intensity until Havoc started trying to really hurt Gail at the tail end of it. But I appreciate that they didn't go out of their way to protect Gail for once and just let Havoc steamroller. It made Havoc look strong, and Gail didn't lose anything by it. And it got the fans chanting for Kong to come out, so clearly it worked. So yeah, Kong actually came to Gail's aid here, which was interesting. And I do kind of like how they're building up the Kong Havoc match with them having barely touched so far. I still think the timing for it is wrong, and I don't know how the match is going to go. I wonder if their styles are going to complement each other. But TNA is creating some intrigue with them here, and God knows that's a lot more than you get from the Divas. They had a tag match with Bobby Roode and Kurt Angle versus Eric Young and Low Ki. Again, not a bad match, just didn't feel intense enough. The psychology was weird. I didn't get the sense that Roode was facing the best friend who stabbed him in the back here. It just felt like a pretty normal tag match. Although Low Ki pinning a former world champion was very cool. We saw the in-ring debut of Mahabali Shera, or Koya, and he squashed Tigre Uno in pretty short order. It was pretty quick. We didn't get much to go on with this guy here. Looks like he has potential, but he seemed really green. Later on, we had James Storm jobbing to Matt Hardy. The match was alright, but I did not agree with the finish. I just think it's kind of damaging to James Storm's cult leader gimmick to have him losing matches right now. If you have to get over on someone in the Revolution, it shouldn't be Storm in my opinion. If he's supposed to be such a seductive devil in your ear that he can make the Revolution members change so much about themselves and follow him blindly, then every loss he takes really hurts that image. It's like, well, if he's losing a regular match to Matt Hardy, then maybe he's not as great a revolutionary as we thought he was. So I'd like to see them protect Storm more than this. So then Abyss goes after Matt post-match, Jeff makes the save, and Jeff challenges Abyss to a Monsters Ball. Jesus Christ, TNA, another one? How many of these damn things have you had in the last year? I am this close to not giving a flying crap about the Monsters Ball match ever again. Haven't we seen enough of these for a while? What the hell is so special about the Monsters Ball when you're literally having street fights every damn week anyway?
Nothing! Absolutely nothing!
And then we've got Lashley trying to get his world title belt back from the Beatdown Clan. Good move by the writers keeping his promos as short as possible. With Lashley, that's probably the right call. But they have Kenny King set him up for a beatdown here, which leads to a street fight with MVP on the streets of New York. Those guys must have been freezing. But I really like that they took it outside just to do something different with this. It's pretty short, and it just turns into another big mugging, so we don't really get a winner. But it did create this really terrific moment at the end, where Bobby Roode picks up the world title, looks at it like it kills him that it's not his anymore, and then him and Lashley just stare at each other uncertainly, knowing that they're kind of on the same side now, even if that's a really bitter pill for both of them to swallow. And the announcers didn't ruin the moment by talking over this like Tenay always would. They just shut up and let the visuals quietly speak for themselves. And it worked so much better that way. It was great. Excellent way to end the show right there. I thought this Impact had some very good qualities. Mark Andrews had a really nice debut, even if they could have set it up better. There was a really compelling closing segment, the Beatdown Clan are getting time to showcase their individual members, and Feast or Fired came off far better than I expected. I could take or leave all the other stuff, but the things it did well, I felt really good about. So, good job on this one, TNA. Over. Out.